I'm just checking for Councillor Chalmers, as she may be joining the meeting later. She hasn't joined yet. I have Councillor Clark, Councillor Devlin, Councillor Dewar, Councillor Donnelly, Councillor Faulkner as Chair, Councillor Handybod. I'm just going to check that Councillor Horn isn't online, and he's not. I have Councillor Hosey, Councillor Cal Johnson-Dempsey. I have Councillor Gavin Wiley-Keat, Councillor McCreary, Councillor Leslie MacDonald. I don't have Councillor Mark McGeever. I'll just check he's not online, and he's not. Councillor David McLaughlin, Councillor Nelson, I don't have. Councillor Isaac is here. Councillor John Ross, Councillor Thompson, and Councillor Toner. We also have a number of officers in attendance, and with that I'll hand over to the Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks for that, Lynn. And we're going to item 1, declaration of interests. Have we any declarations? Okay. Item 2, minutes of the previous meeting, pages 3 to 6.
Leslie MacDonald.
Sorry?
Leslie MacDonald.
Leslie MacDonald.
Thanks, Chair. I have to declare an interest. Agenda item 8, C for the Mackin Trust. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Keats.
Thank you very much, Chair. I also have the same interest as Councillor MacDonald. I am also a trustee of the Mackin Trust.
Item 3, Education Scotland report. I'd invite Linda Gardner, lead officer, and Rachel Baxter, head teacher, to speak to the report. Ladies.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. My name is Linda Gardner, and I'm the Quality Link Officer for Netherburn Primary School. I'm pleased to be here today with the very proud head teacher, Rachel Baxter, who has been head teacher at Netherburn for 10 years, 2 as acting and 8 as substantive head teacher. The purpose of this report is to advise of the outcome of the inspection of Netherburn Primary School and nursery class by Education Scotland inspectors. In November of last year, Netherburn was the focus of a full model inspection by His Majesty's inspectors, and paragraph 4.1 of the committee report takes us through the areas of the school and the nursery's work that were evaluated using Scottish Education's national quality framework. How good is our school, 4th edition, and how good is our learning and childcare? Those areas were leadership of change, learning, teaching and assessment, ensuring well-being, equality and inclusion, and in the school, raising attainment and achievement, and in the nursery, it was securing children's progress. Netherburn Primary is a non-denominational school situated within the village of Netherburn, just outside Larkhall. The area is a former mining village with a rural location. 93% of the pupils live in SIMD2, with the remaining 7% of pupils living within SIMD 5 to 7. 37% of pupils are in receipt of free school meals. The current roll of the school is 97 school-aged pupils and 27 pupils within the early learning and childcare class. The school's capacity is 116. The current building opened in September 2011 as part of South Lanarkshire's school modernisation programme. There are 5 classes, including the nursery class, and all the primary classes are composite. During the week in the school, inspectors observed learning in the school and nursery, spoke with groups of pupils and staff and met with parents and members of the local community. The inspection report for Netherburn and primary and nursery class was published on the 21st of January 2025. Inspectors evaluated the school and the nursery's leadership of change as very good. Learning, teaching and assessment provision in the school was evaluated as very good, and in the nursery, good. For ensuring well-being, inclusion and equality, both in the school and nursery were evaluated as very good, and their outcomes on raising attainment and achievement in the school was evaluated as very good. Securing children's progress in the nursery was evaluated as good. Paragraph 4.2 highlights the key strengths of the school as noted in the report. In summary, these are the highly effective leadership of the head teacher, articulate, friendly and empathetic children who are proud of their school community, the highly inclusive learning environment built on positive, nurturing relationships, the quality of partnership across the nursery class and school. Partners are supporting the work of the school by helping staff to strengthen the relationships within families and the community. Practitioners, teachers and all staff work very well as a team to help children learn and achieve. In paragraph 4.3, references areas for continued improvement which have been included in the school's improving planning for this session. They are not anything new, but endorsement from inspectors to continue to build on the most effective practice to plan learning experiences that promote independence, creativity and curiosity, and to continue to develop the playroom and outdoor space in the nursery as a literacy and numeracy rich environment. As outlined in paragraph 4.4, inspectors are confident that Netherburn has the capacity to improve, to continue to improve, and will therefore make no return visits in connection with this report. I'm now going to hand over to Rachel, who will share a few of her highlights from the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, and good afternoon, councillors. I'm delighted to be here representing the community of Netherburn Primary School and Nursery in regard to our very positive HMIE report. As head teacher of Netherburn Primary School and Nursery, I'm so happy and incredibly proud of our school and nursery team on a fantastic report. It perfectly captures our school and nursery vision and values of being nurturing, resilient, achieving, included, working as a team and respectful, which underpin the work and life of the school and the aspirations for our families. We have had our self-evaluation validated, which is really reassuring and provides us with a confidence to continue to strive for excellence for our learners and their families. I would like to highlight the particular aspects of our work which were highlighted during the inspection and endorsed as very good practice. As a team, we are thrilled that the report captured the caring and nurturing ethos of our school community and our positive relationships perfectly. So in the school, under the heading 1.3 Leadership of Change, HMIE commented on the following. The head teacher provides highly effective leadership of the school community. She has high aspirations for children, staff and families. The school values are clearly evident in daily interactions between children, staff and families. The leadership team are highly skilled in leading and managing change, and the principal teachers play a key role in driving forward improvements in literacy and numeracy. All staff are encouraged and trusted to lead improvements. This helps them to feel empowered and invested in the life and work of our school. Support staff are highly skilled in delivering interventions and in supporting children to be successful in their learning. All children confidently lead and participate in the committees and pupil groups they participate in and take forward projects and initiatives that matter to them. There is strong evidence of pupil equity funding improving attendance and engagement and also in improving attainment. Under the heading 2.3, Learning, Teaching and Assessment, staff have established positive and supportive relationships with children and their families. They know children and families very well and place a high value on their views and opinions. Children are motivated and enthusiastic, demonstrating a willingness to contribute to discussions and share their ideas and opinions. Digital technologies are used effectively to support learning with children, demonstrating strong literacy skills. Teachers' instructions and explanations are very clear. Teachers question skillfully and use open-ended questions to check children's understanding and to extend their thinking. Fluid groupings in numeracy and maths is supporting children to have ownership of their learning and be ambitious about what they can achieve. Highly skilled support staff provide appropriate, well-timed support for children who require support for their learning. All staff have engaged with national practice guidance and professional learning to support the introduction of play in our primary 1 and 2, and they value the importance of play-based learning. Senior leaders support teachers to analyse assessment information effectively, and this approach ensures teachers and senior leaders have a comprehensive knowledge of children's learning and their progress. Under heading 3.1, Ensuring Wellbeing, Equality and Inclusion. All staff place high importance on supporting children's wellbeing. All children learn in nurturing, highly inclusive classrooms. They experience consistent and predictable care and support from all adults within the school. Children who lead on masterclasses enjoy sharing their skills and talents with others. Almost all children attend a club or activity at lunchtime or after school, and this supports very well the strong connection children feel within their school. They feel cared for and included in school life. All children who require additional support to achieve access high-quality, targeted support and interventions. Staff are meticulous in their approach to ensuring children get the right support at the right time. A significant strength of the school are the approaches taken to support children and families who face additional challenges out with school. This includes children who are care experienced, young carers, or children who have experienced loss. All staff have engaged in professional learning to support positive relationships and de-escalation. As a result, children behave very well. There are very few instances of children displaying dysregulated behaviour. And under the heading of 3.2, Raising Attainment and Achievement, senior leaders have in place effective approaches to track closely attainment and literacy, numeracy and health and wellbeing over time. The head teacher has a strong focus on accelerating progress and ensuring all children make the best possible progress in their learning. The quality of learners' achievements is a strength of the school. Children are very proud of the contribution they make to the life of the school. All staff know children and families very well. They have a strong understanding of the range of challenges and opportunities children living in their rural community may face. The head teacher has identified clearly the attainment gaps that exist. There is clear evidence of this impacting positively on outcomes for children who receive supports and interventions, some of which funded through pupil equity funding. Within our nursery, under the heading of 1.3 Leadership of Change, they commented positively on the following. Children and staff show high levels of care, compassion and empathy towards one another as they play and learn. There is a well-established culture of mutual respect. The supportive and experienced team leader and head teacher involve and encourage all practitioners to improve their practice and lead improvements. Practitioners are highly motivated about their leadership responsibilities. The teams suggest and make well-judged improvements alongside colleagues within the school to facilitate highly effective transition. Under 2.3, Learning, Teaching and Assessment. Children are eager, independent and increasingly confident in their small nursery class. Practitioners are consistently focused on what children need, are motivated by or are trying to communicate to them. All team members know children very well as individuals. The proactive partnership working among practitioners, parents and partners supports our children well to thrive. Under the heading 3.1, Ensuring Wellbeing, Equality, Inclusion, children feel very secure in their nursery and develop a highly positive sense of self-worth and confidence in their own abilities. Children form secure attachments with adults and one another in short, regular group times. Children are active contributors to the work of the nursery as they share their views, their likes and their dislikes. Practitioners have an inclusive, welcoming and open approach. The team are non-judgmental and treat all children and families with respect. And lastly, under the heading of 3.2 for our nursery, children are confident communicators. They confidently request to learn new sign language words. Children are motivated to express their experiences and their ideas. Children make very good progress in health and well-being. All children frequently reflect on their strengths and next steps with practitioners and parents. The team frequently celebrate children's everyday achievements. Children are motivated to share their achievements and successes at home. Practitioners have a detailed understanding of the home lives and individual needs of children and of the needs and views of their extended families. They support children, their local community and individual families well. There were 2 areas for improvement that Linda mentioned earlier, and these were highlighted through our visit, both of which currently feature on this year's school improvement plan. We are confident that this will scaffold the process towards meeting the areas for improvement given by the inspection team. So continuing to build on the most effective practice to plan learning experiences that promote independence, creativity and curiosity, and to continue to develop our playroom and outdoor space within our nursery as a very literacy and numeracy rich environment. The inspectors also identified practice worth sharing more widely during their time with us in November. Partnership working is a significant strength of our nursery class and school. It says the head teacher and staff work very well with partners, including our youth, family and community learning officer, local third sector organisations and our cluster schools. This work has a strong focus on working with families to secure better outcomes for all children. The inspection experience was extremely positive. The report has been a great boost for our staff and our whole school community. We pride ourselves on effective partnership working and positive relationship building, and we are confident that these strong bonds will support the continuous cycle of improvement in Netherburn Primary in the years to come. Colleagues in the local authority central team, whilst empowering myself and my principal teacher to lead school and nursery improvement that fits our school context, have been a great support prior to and during our inspection visit. And I would like to publicly thank them for their professional input and pastoral care. Thank you for the opportunity to share our inspection experience with elected members, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for that, ladies. We'll now open the meeting to any questions of Deputy Provost Bert Thompson.
Thanks very much, Chair. Just like to say a very positive report, welcomed and very encouraging. You must be proud. Just a quick word to say, pass on my thanks there for all the staff, everything. I mean, everything involved. It takes everything in the school community to make it a success, and it certainly is a success. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Andy Carmichael.
Thanks, Chair. Having had the honour of officially opening Netherburn Primary School, and good grief, September 11, how time flies. First class report, you should be proud of it. Can you pass on my congratulations to obviously yourself, your staff, and particularly the pupils, all right? Over the last, well, since I became a councillor, I've only had to deal with 3 individual issues from constituents regarding the school. Those were investigated very thoroughly and thankfully resolved thoroughly as well. So again, it's an honour. Please pass on my congratulations to everyone. Thank you. The only other thing, sorry, I forgot to mention was, do you still do your parent council meetings? Yes. Councillors don't seem to get an invite. I don't know if it's just me or not, but I certainly haven't had. You could maybe take that on board. Must be, yeah. Just take that on board, please, would you? Thank you. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Ross Clark.
Thank you, Chair. It's not just yourself. But I would agree with what's been said so far. It's certainly a fantastic report. Almost every category is very good, and if it's not very good, it's good. So that is really great to see, and thanks goes to yourself as head teacher and all the staff, and certainly all the pupils as well. You've certainly done a lot in creating that positive, nurturing educational environment, and that's quite rightfully been recognised.
Thanks for that. Councillor Leslie MacDonald.
Thanks, Chair. It was no great surprise that I'm coming in this item. I just want to thank everyone at the school, from the head teacher right down to the youngest pupil, for everything that they have done to contribute to this amazing report. But as an aside issue, as Chair, I'm delighted that the Mackin Trust donated air fryers, soup makers and slow cookers to the school for distribution to families in need. That to me shows that the school, the head teacher and the other teachers have their finger on the pulse, and they know exactly which family are in need. So thank you very much for that. And what a wonderful report. And I'm just going to third this because I don't get an invitation to the parent council either. But thanks again, and please take my best wishes back to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Leslie. Is there no further questions? Okay, right, ladies, thanks very much for your contribution. You're free to go. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're now 4, Employment, Land, Property, Market Analysis. John Archibald to speak to the report. John.
Thank you, Chair. I'm John Archibald from the Enterprise and Sustainable Development Services. This report's for information only, as it was previously approved at Community and Enterprise. In Section 1, we outline the purpose of the report to advise of the conclusions of the recently completed Employment, Land and Property Market Analysis, and advise that the outcomes of these reports will inform the future economic development policy and any future investment by the Council. Going on to 3, we give some background around the Scottish Government's National Strategy for Economic Transformation. One aspect of the strategy's vision is for Scotland to be the best place to start and grow a business. Having an adequate supply of employment, land and property in the correct locations is a factor in this aim. To understand the South Lanarkshire employment, land and property supply, Rydens LLP were appointed to provide employment, land and property market analysis for South Lanarkshire. This work was implemented in 4 parts to form a suite of reports. Relevant to this committee is the report for Hamilton, Blantyre and Larkhall, but there are also reports for Cambuslang and Rutherglen, East Kilbride, Clydesdale, along with a summary overarching report. The information used to formulate the reports has come from sources including electronic data sources, site visits and the views of occupiers. Moving on to Section 4.2, we provide market potential and analysis detail on the Hamilton, Blantyre and Larkhall area. The Hamilton market area contains 4 million square feet of industrial stock, which represents 27% of all industrial stock in South Lanarkshire. The majority of the stock in Hamilton area was built in the 1980s and 1990s, which means there's an issue of looming obsolescence, notably in Blantyre, which is a key location for local business. In terms of industrial employment land supply, Hamilton market area has 5% of the allocated land area, which is less than 1% of that allocated in South Lanarkshire. 2 sites totalling 4.6 hectares are in Blantyre, and the site at South Larkhall Canderside alone accounts for 42% of Hamilton's market area allocated land. Reflective of wider region markets, there's a low industrial floor space availability in Hamilton market area of 5%. In 4.4, we detail the geographical split of industrial take-up. East Kilbride having 50% 56% or 35 transactions over a year, and Hamilton having 22% or 15. In 4.5, we provide detail on the office market. The office market is in the post-pandemic process of moving to smaller, better quality offices to meet hybrid working requirements. The Hamilton market area accounts for 55% of South Lanarkshire's total office floor space. Its vacancy rate is 19%. We believe there is sufficient choice of stock available in the market and therefore no demand for new building accommodation unless occupier-led. In 4.6, we outline the geographical split of office property across South Lanarkshire. Hamilton has 44% of office stock, while East Kilbride has 38%. Take-up of employment land across South Lanarkshire is correlated to the supply coming to the market. The report identifies a requirement to support the sector and the bringing forward of fully serviced sites, most likely for owner-occupied development, though potential also for council direct development. In section 4.9, the South Lanarkshire-wide position is detailed. From sections 410 to 414, it should be noted that the industrial property market in South Lanarkshire is extensive. South Lanarkshire's current stock of industrial property is estimated at 15.9 million square feet. South Lanarkshire's principal industrial development areas were the 1970s to the 1990s. This means that more than half of the local authority's area's industrial stock is at least 44 years old. With older stock, energy performance is an increasing concern, both in terms of carbon emissions and energy costs. South Lanarkshire has low industrial property availability, currently sitting at 3.8%. It is likely that occupiers will experience restricted choice of premises in terms of location, sizes, specification, quality and modernity. South Lanarkshire has an office availability rate of 12%, marginally above the 11% office availability rate for the Glasgow City region as a whole. And moving on to section 4.16, we provide some conclusions to the Ryden Summary Report, which identifies a number of actions. These include measures and recommendations on the South Lanarkshire-wide basis, as well as localised initiatives to stimulate the refurbishment of existing industrial stock, actively encourage the creation of development plots, and look at where the council can intervene in the market. In section 5, funding, we note that European Union structural funds are now not available. However, to replace the lost European funding, funds related to levelling up agenda, investment zones, place, community, wealth building, city deal are now available. Importantly, noted in 5.3, the Council will continue to pursue identified opportunities, but going forward, the private sector will be key to investment and supply. And in 6, we outline the next steps and the next steps. These South Lanarkshire-wide next steps, where external funding will be required where external funding will be required to be identified, include targeting existing industrial stock, provision of serviced plots, monitor industrial stock, and likewise monitor the office stock. In 6.2, it should be noted that the Council will have a role to play in the delivery of many of these actions identified in the reports, although in many cases the role will be that of a regulatory body with a limited direct involvement in delivery. In 6.4, we explain that the community and enterprise resources are looking at further opportunities at key sites, including Canderside Larkhall. These sites listed form part of the Council's bid to the Glasgow City region enabling and delivering commercial space project, where funding has been sought as part of a competitive application process to deliver new commercial space and unlock sites for future development to attract investment and deliver economic development and maximise their potential. Finally, in 6.5, I draw your attention to the Council's Invest South Lanarkshire website, now built, and this will serve as an important platform for the marketing of key sites and property and serve as a gateway for private sector investors and developers to contact the Council. Chair, I refer back to section 2, where the committee is asked to note the contents of this report. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor John Ross.
Yep.
There you are, John.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I must say, when I read this report, I was so depressed. Depressed from South Lanarkshire's point of view, but more depressed from Hamilton's point of view. It's nothing against the councillors and the officers and the way that they've written the report, but so much of the data and the way it's put forward gives very little hope for the future as far as a fast fix for Hamilton and the surrounding area. All the way through, it looks as if we're relying on external funding, and we know how difficult that is at the present time to get external funding. We've suffered again from Brexit. We're not getting any of that funding. And to say things like we're relying on individuals to look at how they can possibly transform their own businesses by using innovation is quite difficult in these present times. So I think it's a terrible report. I really do, and I don't think it gives us an awful lot of hope. I think this administration here we'll try to help them as much as possible, but they've got a big job in their hands to try and turn around the situation as it is at the present time. I was just shocked by the report. I know that you've got to gather the data, but at the end of the day, I don't think, especially Hamilton, is not in a very good position and won't be for a very long time in the future. Sorry to say that, Chair, but that's my thoughts on the matter.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, excuse me. Thanks, Councillor Ross. I take the points you've raised in your comments there, but I would suggest that there are a lot of positives to be taken out of the report. There are within my wider remit as Economic Development Manager, as you'll know, there's the business support team and the inward investment strategy that's being delivered, and there's a huge number of positive stories across the business community. I know you know that already, but just to kind of give reassurance that working with and across that business community, we do see and allow a lot of that innovation to come forward. Economic development is very much an enabling service rather than necessarily us leading the way in terms of a lot of those investments. We do that where there's market failure, excuse me, but a big part of that is about supporting and encouraging the market to grow and that wider economic growth. In terms of the funding side of things, John mentioned in the report about the enabling business space that the city region is bringing forward, and just the timing of this report being drafted and the cabinet meetings for the city region, that business case, or so the strategic case, has been approved by the city region cabinet, and that's a reallocation of some of the Glasgow airport monies that wasn't going forward. That's been put into as it says, enabling business space across the region, and all 8 member authorities are benefiting from that funding. South Lanarkshire's share is projected to be in the order of £11 million, which is the pro rata share that again, you'll be familiar that with across the city region, each authority has there's a formula for working out how much each authority gets. So part of the work that we're doing, as John alluded to, is pulling forward proposals that we can then bring to Community and Enterprise in May as being the recommendations, and that would then allow a lot of the work that we're alluding to be taken forward. So I do take your point that in order to move forward, we need to understand the challenges, and just by its very nature, a lot of the industrial stock in South Lanarkshire is, as John said, 40 plus years old. There are opportunities to improve that stock and where appropriate, help that stock be replaced, but that's not necessarily, in our view, something that the council would necessarily take the direct lead on, as opposed to being a facilitator to the market. I'm not sure if that gives you any reassurance, but that's kind of where we sit with that.
We had to do this first before we knew what the problems were, and it's right enough what's been saying, yes, and we will be giving updates, because you know yourself, when we read it, when it first went to Community and Enterprise, you kind of think to yourself, God, where are we going to go from this? So in its own kind of way, it's actually quite a positive thing, whereas before we were in the dark, just wondering what was going on, but now we've got a clearer picture about how we have to go, and yes, there's funding streams that we will have to tap into, and we will need to work hard at it, but if anything's worthwhile, it's worth hard working at it, but at least we can identify it now, and I'll just repeat myself, we will be bringing updates to you. Thanks, Chair.
By the way, but we'll carry on. It's only been 7 years. I do appreciate John's comments. When you read it, it lacks a bit of detail, but I suppose the devil, in this case, is probably in the detail. But I'm sure that is a vast amount of detail, which is probably not relevant for Hamilton Area Committee report. I'm sure you could probably ask for more detail, John. So I've got a couple of questions on the 6.11 and 6.12, if I could. 6.11, the top is seek to support landlords and occupiers to upgrade premises through incentivisation. The first question is, what is the incentivisation? And on 6.12, I wonder if you could give me more information on when Invest South Lanarkshire website went live and what feedback you've got from that, who's clicking on it, have people been contacting you, and how you're promoting that website to investors. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. So in the 6.1, you're absolutely correct. We talk about upgrading premises and incentivising land occupiers and landlords, etc. So we have an application in to Glasgow City Region Enabling Business Space, which is evolving, and part of the evolving of that is we're looking at what projects we'd like to deliver, and one of the projects we'd like to deliver is upgrading some of the industrial stock. Perhaps that might be council-owned stock, or it might be other stock, but the idea would be that we would do some exemplar projects and demonstrate what can be achieved in the market, try and encourage the private sector to do likewise. That's not going to happen instantly, because the process through Glasgow City Region takes some time, but we're working our way through it as quickly as we can. I'm quite sure Ian will be able to answer some of the detail in the Invest in South Lanarkshire website.
Can I just come back in briefly? So, but I'm reading the report to say through incentivisation, so we're incentivising businesses to come in and use our premises. So what are we incentivising with? Are we discounting rent? Are we going in, doing the properties up for them then to come in? What is the incentive for businesses to come to South Lanarkshire as opposed to Glasgow or something else?
Thank you. Sorry, but through you, Chair. There are two strands to that. So in terms of the inward investment stuff, I think that's about the encouraging business to South Lanarkshire and how we work with business in that sense. But going back to the quality of the current stock, it's about working with business. So whether that's through showing how small levels of investment can provide big benefits to a property. So that might be, even such simple things as changing to better type of lighting, improving your insulation depending on the type of property, windows, some of these things that relatively speaking, our modest cost can have a very quick payback and provide some great benefits. So whether that's about direct intervention from the council, whether it's working with the Zero Waste Scotland and Resource Efficient Scotland as to how some of their funding might be able to be directed towards some of these businesses, but also showing the ways in which or best practice as to how businesses should invest. So that, I suppose, is the direct in terms of the existing business base, but yes, working with them through, working with new opportunities through the inward investment side of things to get businesses into South Lanarkshire as a whole, and filling some of these opportunities. And I suppose just with your indulgence, going on to that second part of your question about what feedback we've had, there was a report taken to Community and Enterprise just on the 20, sorry, excuse me for looking at my screen, but the 25th of February, the Community and Enterprise Committee. So there was an update there, just, and it sets out some of those stats for each of the four kind of areas of South Lanarkshire as to what kind of level of interest is coming through the website and inquiries that we're getting. And understandably, it's early days of that, and we hope that that will continue to grow. But we've had a good start. We're still in that kind of soft launch phase. We are looking at a more formal launch probably in the summertime, once we've been able to establish exactly what the market and agents and others are looking to get, and how that they want that site to function.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that. Before I get the next question, can I ask if you could speak nearer to the mics? I don't know if it's just my disability or in general. Right, Councillor Mary Donnelly.
That's it. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, a couple of questions, if that's acceptable. I just want to go back on the point that John made. It would be remiss of us on this report not to make the point that John had made, bearing in mind I'm taking on board the point that you made, Maureen, and we know further down the line this will get untangled, as they say. But we're here representing our constituents, and their well-being in the economy is vital to them going forward. So it's from that angle. And for them to prosper, because Hamilton Town Centre right now, as we all know, is not a nice place to come and buy, which is unfortunate because I loved Hamilton Town Centre. I've got a lovely memory of Hamilton Town Centre, so, and I'm sure we all have, but in this economic, the economic prosperity of our constituents is vital, and coming to a nice town centre is vital as well, and I know you've got that in the master plan. Going forward, so I would actually like John's points taken on board that he did make today, and I would back them, I'd second them. But going forward, I think we all, my area anyway, in Alan's area, we've got a lot of constituents are subletting. So I'll look forward to that point that's in the report, and have that relationship with landlords and with the council to try and work our way through to get rid of like the fly tipping, the closes, which are in badly disrepair and would benefit from an upgrade. And if we can get a way through that, in order a plan. I mean, I know in the housing in my area, council made an agreement with private tenants that they could get the roof and they could get the sandblasting done at a cost, obviously, which was privately arranged. And that did go very well because my street was overnight improved dramatically, and a lot of private tenants signed up to that package. So there is that, and I'm sure a lot of landlords would sign up to the package. So it is good that we're having that communication and we're talking to landlords in order to clean up as well for the benefit of our tenants and our constituents. So I'm looking forward to that coming forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing that improved as it goes forward too. Thank you.
Well, I agree with something. If I remember correctly, under the previous administration, one of the main buildings there was Baird's. In the previous administration, SNP, the Cherry Housing continually told us that they were modernising it through the back door, which wasn't the actual story. And the senior official at the time told us that they couldn't build because of COVID, which wasn't right, because we built a hotel down the Bolton Cross. And I have fond memories of Hamilton as well, because I was a paper boy down Duke Street many moons ago. Okay? Right, can I now have Kenny McCreary? Okay, what's it, Mary?
It was just in reply, Chair. We've all done things that didn't work out. When you were in administration, you did PFI contracts, which is costing this council 45 million a year at this time. So let's not go down that road. We're trying to find a solution here. Let's not bring up politics into it, because I can answer all the things that you're answering. So let's not go down that road. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor McCreary? No. Councillor McLachlan?
Quite laugh at John saying let's not make it political. I don't know what his rant was about earlier on, but it just sounded like a moan, and I don't know why Mary thought she needed to second it, because it wasn't a motion. But typically this lot, you know, having a go at this administration. But I don't know if anybody's aware, I'm sure you are, but maybe you just forgot about it. There's £8 million been set aside for the master plan for Hamilton. Have you forgot about that? And was that in your budget? Did you have any proposals in your budget, John? Goodness sake. Let's just stick to the agenda rather than getting political, because that was your comment, John, but it was you that started it.
Thanks for that. Councillor McCreary?
Thanks, Chair. Can I just check you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Lost you again.
We've lost you. Councillor Ross, do you want to come back in while we're waiting?
Yeah, just a second. When I started, when I started my rant, so to speak, I wasn't getting at this administration. I actually said that we would be trying to be as helpful as possible in taking this forward. It wasn't being political at that time. It was just a concern for Hamilton as a Hamilton councillor. So let's stick to the facts of what I actually said in my opening gambit. It was not a rant. It was about my concerns for Hamilton in particular, but South Lanarkshire in general, and trying to find solutions going forward. And I said at that time we'd be only too helpful in trying to help in any way we can this administration get over what we know is a real funding problem, going to external places, trying to get the money to do what we want to do. So let's not take it any further than that.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor McCreary?
This is the third time I've tried to ask my question. Do you think I'll be able to get the question posed this time, or am I going to be cut off again?
If you don't delay, you'll get it.
Well, I'm trying to ask the question. You keep cutting me off. Anyway, my question is on EU funding. The point was raised that EU funding is now stopped, but we were told last year, perhaps even the year before, that the EU inward investment had been replaced by UK government funding. In fact, the UK government funding was going to be more than the EU funding. So can I just ask for some clarification? Is that still the case, or has the new Labour government stopped that inward investment? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Yes, there has been a replacement of funding through shared prosperity funding, and that's subject to reports to, I'm not sure if it's Community and Enterprise or Executive Committee, but the allocation of that funding is set out in those reports.
Point, Chair, if you don't mind. We were quite clearly informed that the UK funding was more than the EU funding. So it sounds as though that's still the case. So the idea that we've lost the EU funding because we left the EU, or we've lost the investment, isn't actually accurate. Thanks, Chair.
Just further on that, if we look back at 5.1 and we're talking about funding, is it not the case that there was 200 billion put to 75 councils in the UK to replace levelling up funding? Are we entitled to any of that?
We have been successful in securing levelling up funding for securing levelling up funding for two projects. One, the Clydesdale Way, working with Dumfries and Galloway and Borders Council, and the other one working with Clyde Gateway. But that funding is specific to those projects, not just more general funding for the council to allocate.
I want to put some funding in this IT. You mentioned Clyde Gateway. Under the previous administration, I visited the Clyde, the back of Shawfield, that piece of contaminated land 6 years ago, and I visited it a year ago through Community Enterprise, and it's still the same, yet we've ploughed millions into it. Is there going to be any development in that? You know the bit where Strictly, or Police Scotland look on it?
There are a number of developments, and even as we speak, the Grid campus is closing in on completion. So that's down. I can't remember the name of the road. Just right adjacent to the motorway as you go around to the trampoline centre. Yeah, exactly. So yes, there's a lot of work in terms of remediation, and they're very challenging sites, and that's been a big part of the work that Clyde Gateway have been working on. But yes, development is coming out the ground, and occupiers are taking those units. And as I say, the Grid campus, which is the most recent of those developments, has generated a lot of market interest from occupiers.
It's not a question, it's more information. There was actually the planning committee, there's been outline planning, have came to planning committee. It's not detailed planning, but what that does is that opens the doorway for detailed planning to come. So that's already gone through the planning committee, Chair. Thanks.
No, okay. Do we agree?
Chair, can you? Apologies, I'm in Manchester, suffering from the cold and stuck in a train station. My question is, I'm a bit puzzled by some of the comments made, because when you look up the Scottish Development International, Scotland recorded 12.7% increase in development, increase in development. That's against the UK average of 6%, and a EU average of is a 4% decline. So I don't think the problem is the fact that it's a lack of investment. It's maybe the question needs to be that there is investment, but there needs to be maybe is what are we doing to grab that investment?
Okay, any further questions? No further questions. We committee agree to note the report. Okay, thank you for that. Item 5, House Technical Participatory Budget. David Edgar. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. I'm here today in my capacity as Area Housing Manager for the Hamilton Division to provide the committee with an update on the participatory budgeting activity undertaken by my team during the financial year 24-25. I'll provide a summary of the report, which you will find in pages 23 to 29 of your pack, and provide you with the latest position on each of these projects. As the report notes, there are two main housing and technical resources budgets considered as part of the Council's participatory budgeting programme. Firstly, there is the estate improvement budget, which consists of £40,000 split evenly across the 4 housing divisions. Therefore, Hamilton Division is allocated £10,000. Each local housing team can direct the funds towards projects and improvements that have been prioritised by our tenants and other customers. While the value of this budget is smaller than other across housing and technical resources, this is ideally suited to a participatory budgeting approach, as it allows a quick response to some of the day-to-day challenges our residents can experience. I'm pleased to report that to date, the full amount of £10,000 has been allocated to 5 projects which are currently being undertaken. These are as follows: improvements in bin provision and conditions of the path and road behind the properties at Holyrood Street in Hamilton, a clear-out and fence replacement at an area at Albert Drive in Lark Hall, removing amount of topsoil and weeds that had gathered in an area behind properties at Udston Road in Hamilton, improvement in access for our tenants at a property at Chris Avenue, Edelwood, by installing a new gate, and finally, tidying up a walkway by removal of weeds and bushes at St Catherine's Walk in Blantyre. The second part of the budget, which contributes towards our participatory budgeting programme, is the environmental aspect of the housing investment programme. This is a larger budget with a focus on projects that seek to improve the quality of the Council's domestic housing stock. To date, 2 projects have been undertaken, and these are as follows: the ongoing improvements at the Shawlands Crescent Gypsy Traveller site, and this is in line with the master plan which was developed in partnership with our residents at this site. So following consultation with the residents of the 18 pitches through site meetings and individual discussions with these residents, it was agreed to deliver further upgrades to the site, which included extending the existing amenity units and undertaking groundworks to create an additional 2 new pitches on the site. I can advise that the works are currently ongoing at the site at the moment, and these works are projected to cost £203,000. Secondly, we've delivered internal upgrades at Deer Park Sheltered Housing Site in Hamilton. This involved residents in all properties being consulted on the internal refurb of the site, which included new communal kitchens and laundry facilities, new accessible toilets, new ceilings, lightings, flooring, wall decorations and soft furnishings. We consulted with residents through a series of resident meetings, again individual discussions. Tenants were presented with mood boards and design plans and voted on their preferred options on the site. And the cost of this project is approximately £416,000. I would invite you to have a look at some of the photographs which begin on page 25 of your pack, that show some of the before and after photographs of the projects. I can advise that the project at Albert Drive is still ongoing at the moment. The project at Udston Road has been completed. Groundworks at Holyrood Street have been completed. And finally, the works at Deer Park Sheltered Housing are also complete. I hope this information has been useful and would invite any questions at this point.
Thanks, Chair. And David, thanks very much for that report. I think it's great, and I'm only going to say participatory budget once because there's no way I can get it out my mouth again. I've been practising in my head. I think it's great, that especially the ones at Deer Park. I know when I first got elected, that was one of the places that we were round, and they were desperate to get the communal area
redone. They felt that actually, like through COVID and things like that, they'd come away and they hadn't had as much sort of social interaction and things like that, obviously, and they were desperate to get the communal space back up and running again. And obviously, just the wee bit of fence at Chris Avenue, I actually stay not too far from it, and you've no idea the difference taking away a wee bit of fence has made to some of the local residents. The only thing I would say, and I think he emailed you the other day, they've got a wee bit of a problem in Deer Park. They're getting a new boiler as well. I don't know if that comes under this remit exactly. They're looking forward to the new boiler. They're just not appreciating the works. But even the laundry room and things like that, that was definitely something that they were absolutely desperate to get done. So they are delighted. So thanks for that report, David.
Thanks for your comments. I appreciate that. And again, I hope the photographs demonstrate the quality of the finish of the work at Deer Park. I'll come back to you separately, if you don't mind, on the updating the boiler works there, because a few members of my team are just preparing the latest position in that. So I'll be able to give you that by close of play today. And I think we'll all probably agree that I need to come up with an abbreviation for the word participatory.
For that. Deputy Provost Thompson.
Thanks very much, Chair. Just say thanks, David. Recently in Blantyre, we've had Camelon Crescent, Stonefield Road improvements, and it's very, very welcome. The only downside is now I've got people at surgeries all the time asking me their bits getting done, so any future investment will be worthwhile. So we certainly thank you there, and people are very grateful. Thank you.
Thanks for that. David, do you want to come in on that?
Again, I would just highlight the quality of the work that's been carried out there. Some fantastic feedback we've had for the residents on site there, and we're absolutely thrilled that that project's over the line now.
Thank you. Councillor Carmichael.
Thanks, Chair. David, I'm quite glad you highlighted about the Albert Drive fencing, because I was round there the other day and it's like a bomb site, a disaster zone, is putting it mildly. I mean, the share of 10,000, you need 10 million, quite frankly, because of the past problems we've had with various tenants that have been in properties, etc. I would appreciate if you could put in an email the particular address that you're addressing on the replacement fencing in Albert Drive, if you don't mind. Thank you.
That's not a problem, Councillor Carmichael. I can provide that information.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Mary Donnelly.
Thank you, David, for that report. I think it is very positive, and it does show you another avenue with participatory budgeting that we can go down in order to go through, you know, ask and achieve wishes and asks from residents and tenants. So it is a very positive report. One, I'll do it offline this meeting, but one that you and I have got ongoing is Kelvin Gardens, and Alan and I would obviously like discussions with you on that, because is this a way forward in order to deal with that and make arrangements for money to be put aside going down the line. That is not right now, but it might be quite useful to look at that.
Just briefly, in terms of the fence at Kelvin Gardens, because I know there's a number of interested parties in that. There is a project that our investment team are working on at the moment, and good. I am working hard on pushing them for a target time for that to be carried out and completed. And I'll update everyone once we've got timescales for that.
Fantastic. I appreciate that, David.
No want to give my age away, but I remember Kelvin Gardens getting an award for housing. It's on the TV many moons ago. Okay, no further questions. We agree to note the report? Okay, thank you. Item 6. Hamilton Master Plan. Vicky Nelson to speak. Vicky.
Thanks, Chair. Afternoon, councillors. My name is Vicky Nelson and I am an officer within Enterprise and Sustainable Development Services. The purpose of the report today is to give you an update on the progress made so far with Hamilton Master Plan. Section 3 just details the background of town centres in general. It notes, excuse me, it notes that it is broadly accepted that the traditional function of the retail environment in town centres needs to change to meet the needs and expectations of today's modern communities. There's a collective need to establish a new role and function for our town centres to ensure that they remain relevant and thrive. And we're working on a range of projects across all of our town centres that closely align with the New Future for Scotland's Town Centres report and action plan, and also National Planning Framework 4, which recognises the value of the regeneration to transform urban places and improve well-being. Moving on to section 4, as previously reported and discussed earlier at committee today, Hamilton Town Centre is facing a number of challenges just due to these changes in dynamics, and we've kind of got a lot of significant voids in the town centre at the moment, mostly in the two shopping centres. Probably is worthy of note that the two shopping centres do make up most of the voids in the town centre, and places such as Quarry Street and Cadsall Street actually perform under the kind of vacancy rate, the national vacancy rate, so they're actually doing pretty well in comparison to other town centres, but the two shopping centres kind of bring the overall percentage down. So the change in retail dynamics and the loss of some key anchors in the town centre have led to the development of the Hamilton Master Plan. This vision was led by 360 Architecture on behalf of the council, and it demonstrates all the needs and physical and spatial moves required to re-energise the town centre and make it a resilient place to be. It seeks to find solutions to underperforming parts of the town centre, and we kind of gave consideration to the sites detailed here, which were the Regent Shopping Centre, New Cross, the former Bears Department Store, Duke Street Car Park, the former Vogue Bingo site, and Hamilton Town Square. The master plan was approved by Executive Committee in February 2024, and we held a public consultation in March 24 with over 800 responses received. To move on to section 5, which details progress to date on these areas. So 5.1, we talk about the Regent Shopping Centre. So this is currently privately owned but held under a ground lease from the council, and in parallel, shopping centres across the country has not been performing well recently. This has led owners to undergo a marketing exercise for the Regent Shopping Centre. It was put in the market in December last year, and it had quite a bit of interest, and they have identified a potential new purchaser. It should be noted that the master plan was a key part of this and was used in a lot of the marketing materials for the Regent Shopping Centre, and it did definitely generate some interest. We remain in dialogue with the current owners and potential purchasers to help recognise or realise the master plan vision here, and we'll keep updated on that. Moving on to 5.2 at the New Cross Shopping Centre. As you know, the shopping centre went into administration and came back to the council in 2021. The centre is not currently commercially viable and it has maintenance requirements. We currently have one tenant still operational in the centre. The master plan shows this site as a housing development, and indeed it has interest from our housing colleagues. So we have instructed survey work here as the first stage of works, the delivery model. So as I say, the vision shows housing development and the reopening of Chapel Street, and it's key to note that there's currently no demolition strategy in place and no demolition timescales available. There's quite a lot of local reporting. I think that this is imminent. It's kind of a lot of businesses have come to us with questions about that, but currently we do not have these in place, and we will report progress on this in due course. Also should be noted under 5.3 that the kind of demolition aspect of this doesn't include Quarry Place, and Quarry Place and Quarry Street will remain a key part of the town centre and the kind of spine of the town centre, the commercial spine. If I move on to the 5.4, the Bairds building, as has been noted, the building was owned by Wetherspoons, and they had progress plans quite far to convert this into a public house, but unfortunately due to business plan changes, they have aborted these plans and put the building back on the market. Again, there are interested parties here, and we're continuing to have discussions with them about the regeneration of this site. 5.5 Duke Street Car Park. The master plan shows a new car park here with a potential student accommodation or hotel. This project has not yet been phased in, but it will be in due course, and we'll report back. At 5.6, we talk about the former Vogue Bingo site. This site currently has interest from social housing developers, and we're having positive discussions in the hope to bring this site forward. In the interim, we're instructing structural survey work and to find out what needs to be done repair-wise, and we'll do them in due course. on the frontage, I should say there, sorry. And finally, with Hamilton Town Square, we received £100,000 from the Common Good Fund in May 24 to progress this project to the next level. And we're currently just assessing tender applications that are due back very soon to appoint a contractor to progress this project and work up the design stage here. Moving on to 6, it just discusses other town centre activity. 6.1, we talk about Hamilton Bid. They're a key partner for us, and they really provide the link between the business community and the council. We liaise with them in a variety of different projects. We meet with them monthly, and as I say, we provide support and work in partnership with the business community through this means. At 6.2, we talk about the Quarry Street reopening. This was a key project from the bid with liaison with the business community who were looking to open Quarry Street to traffic to increase footfall in this area. It's been deemed a success, and we're talking with roads at the moment to keep that going. It was a temporary TRO for 18 months, but we're looking to make that more permanent now. That was at the request of the business community. And finally, at 6.3, we just talked generally about a spring clean. We've got a spring clean scheduled in for the town centre. Unfortunately, the town's had quite a lot of graffiti and things happen to it recently, and we're just generally looking to give it a real spruce up. Number 7, we're just talking about communication. When we were doing a lot of the master plan consultation, we were very keen to point out that there'd probably be a period where we would effectively not be reporting, if you like, because of all the kind of behind the scenes work. Where we're working with partners to further develop the proposals. Many of the discussions that we have are commercially sensitive, and as such we've been unable to report on these matters. We do attend the regular meetings with the bids, and we try and share information here where we can, and that's our kind of conduit to getting that through to the business community. We are, however, putting together a communication strategy to circulate information to the local and business community as the master plan progresses. We have things like the Hamilton Future website and things like that we're looking at to try and update and put information on here. And we also held a drop-in session with businesses quite recently just to disseminate information and answer any questions that they had. And that was attended by maybe about 8 to 10 businesses. At section 8, just at the time of writing this report, just as we were writing it, we just heard the welcome news that we had £8 million was granted towards the master plan. We have a kind of shovel-ready list, if you like, ready to put forward projects that we can develop. So we're currently working up that project schedule, looking to make best use of this funding, and we'll bring the report back to Community and Enterprise in May 25. Our next steps are to continue to work on the master plan proposals and seek opportunities. We have no employee implications, and there are currently no financial implications, although we will seek to maximise funding where we can and investment into the town centre. If I can just take councillors back to section 2, we're just looking for members to note the current activity. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Vicky. Any questions? Councillor Dewar.
Thanks, Chair. Obviously, I welcome this report overall, but I would ask if there can be assurances over improved communication and consultation both with businesses and users of the town centre, specifically through the council's usual communication channels. It's clear that incorrect and rumour spreads quickly online, specifically on social media, which could lead to reduced confidence for businesses currently remaining in the town centre currently. Specifically in terms of the New Cross redevelopment proposals. I know that there's been a slight drop in businesses in Quarry Place, and there's obviously, you've mentioned that already, it's not actually part of the redevelopment proposal. On the Regent Centre, it's obviously positive there's a potential buyer has been identified. I don't know if you're able to go into any detail over whether there's any indication of the possible plans should that sale go through to that buyer. On a positive note, obviously the Quarry Street reopening has been successful, and businesses in Quarry Street have seen increased footfall to businesses, and it's obviously appropriate that scheme is extended and hopefully will be made permanent. I'll also welcome that there is interest being shown in the Beers and Vogue sites, as the redevelopment of these sites will be a very important part of the wider regeneration of the town centre. And lastly, on Councillor McLachlan's previous point earlier, obviously, as a councillor for the town centre, any money that goes towards the progression of the master plan is a good thing. But rest assured, there will be full scrutiny of proposals and use of the money going forward. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. On communication, yeah, there has been quite a lot of misinformation out in the town centre, but I think the session we held with the business community was really good to try and dispel some of that, and I hope we managed to put some of their kind of fears at ease here. We are preparing a communication strategy and looking at some press releases as well to put out during the time. We're in a bit of a difficult position just now, just because a lot of the discussions we have are commercially sensitive and there's not a lot we can say, but where we can say things, we're looking to pull that together and put out some communications, and obviously we'll work with the bid manager as well to make sure that's becoming a bit more regular as we go down the line. With the region, I think the new owner, I think they are interested on the back of the master plan proposals, and I think they're looking to develop some of these, but we don't have nothing concrete at the moment that we could share. Sorry, your third point was luckily Court Street. Yep. No, that's one. Perfect.
Councillor Ross Clark.
Thank you, Chair. And I would support the comments from my colleague there, especially around communication. I think the points around communication, engagement with the public is a really important one. I understand there might be times where you aren't able to share anything or issues are commercially sensitive, but I think it's really important to do that communication engagement at any reasonable point, ensure that we're listening to users of the town, businesses, and taking their ideas on board and moving forward, including when we are presenting plans and master plans, that as well as presenting them and asking for views, we're showing in the reasons behind what's in those plans, such as, for example, what's the research base behind a particular ratio of retail to residential, helping to provide that confidence that we're moving in the right direction. My question would relate to engagement with the university. I've mentioned this point previously in committee, so I might be repeating certain things. So my question would be, what engagement have we had recently? What more engagement with the university do we plan to undertake? Especially if we're including sites for student accommodation and other spaces which might be used by university. It's important to know, are these spaces needed by them? Where can they be used? Because there's a huge base there of people who could be students and staff who could be visiting and shopping in the town centre, or even working there, as part-time jobs. But currently, as you know, that doesn't happen. People aren't attracted into the town centre. So I know I've mentioned this point before, but anything we can do to further nurture that relationship can only be a positive thing.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, I'll take that one if that's okay, Councillor. Just on the basis I was involved in the work to help the university relocate a few years ago, and as you'll know, some of the accommodation, sorry, I'm pointing in the wrong direction, but some of the accommodation on the previous site, the old Bell College site, particularly the midwifery building, the former midwifery teaching building, was converted to student accommodation, and as part of that agreement there was an exclusivity for a period of time reached with that provider for the university. So in that sense, yes, we do show multiple uses within the town centre, but we need to factor that in across a range of other competing interests. I suppose maybe just to give you that kind of broader comfort, whether it's the university, whether it's New College Lanarkshire, whether it's NHS Lanarkshire, the list, as you will know, is endless. We are engaging with all of the existing and potential stakeholders that could have a presence in the town. As Vicky touched on, the nature of town centres are changing, and we need to be a lot less reliant on retail. Retail still has a very important role within town centres, but we need to be as diverse as possible within those uses. So absolutely we will be exploring and trying to secure every opportunity we can, whether that's in the public sector, third sector, right across the spectrum.
Just on that point with the university, prior to Danny Lowe leaving, there was inquiries made to the university if they required accommodation, and the answer was no at the time. So has there been a change there?
wasn't party to those discussions. I suspect that may have involved the block at the corner of Almada Street and Bothwell Road. There were issues around that in that it didn't comply with modern standards for student accommodation, so they didn't have a toilet, bathrooms for each of the suite. There were shared bathroom facilities, which doesn't comply with modern facilities. So that, I think, led to the conversion of the midwifery building. So I think it was a combination of those things that changed. So they would have had the requirement that that's now been fulfilled with that development of the midwifery building.
Councillor McLachlan.
Thank you, Chair. And thanks, Vicky, for your report. Information for businesses is very important because people get very nervous, and it's right that it's been raised. But just recently, as you're both aware, Vicky and Ian, who have both been regular attenders at the Hamilton Bid, but just the most recent Hamilton Bid meeting, Justine, I think it's Justine, isn't it? Justine had held a kind of an open session in one of the units that we've acquired in there that we've got access to within the Regent Centre. Quite a lot of businesses turned up, and rightfully so. People were being very direct because people do want to know, but the point has been repeatedly made that any information, when available, will be divulged. You know, there's no suggestion at all that any information has been held back. It's in no one's interest to do that. But you can only tell people when you have news to tell them. However, the fact that Justine was there in an open day kind of session gives people the opportunity to come and answer the questions. I'm kind of hoping that that's helped the businesses, assure the businesses quite a lot. And I wonder if maybe you can comment on if there's any feedback that you got from Justine on that point.
Hi there. You know, I was with Justine, so I was there as well with
the
businesses.
Right.
Yeah. So I think most of the businesses, as I say, it's just misinformation that came through. So I think they thought a lot of things were imminent or happening around them without them being informed, and we were able to alleviate those concerns and say, as I say, if anything like that was going to happen, we'd follow the proper processes right out, etc., etc. So they'd be effectively the first to know if it was to affect their business. So I think we had some businesses come down quite agitated at first, and we managed to alleviate them and also have a face there and be able to you know, give them a contact through Malcolm, and they can contact us directly now. So I think it did help quite a bit. It was mostly businesses from the kind of Quarry Place area that we had down. And I say now they've got a kind of conduit to get in touch with us again through Malcolm should anything else come up, and hopefully it won't fester, if you like.
Yeah, no, that's really positive. And the £8 million, as I touched on earlier, it shows a real commitment by this administration that we're really serious about this, and £8 million is a significant amount of money. Colin Dewar made the point, or raised the question, I'm not really sure, just remember exactly what he says, but about scrutiny of that £8 million. I mean, I don't really know where you're coming from with that one, Colin. It's public money, and it goes without saying that anything that's spent will be as open, as transparent as it can possibly be. I could take that it might be a suggestion of somehow that wouldn't be the case. So maybe we can discuss that later, Colin, when you've got a minute. Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Hose.
Thank you for getting that correct. I've just got one question and one general comment.
Yep, put yourself on again.
Cool. Just one question and one general comment of a positive nature, I might add. The question is, who is the last tenant in the New Cross Centre? And the comment is, it's really good to hear that the master planning over the last year has now encouraged the private sector to bolster more interest in the Hamilton Town Centre. So that's really encouraging. The work you've done before has now bolstered the private sector to look forward to a bright future for them as well. So, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Councillor Hose. It's just a climbing centre we've still got remaining in the town centre in the New Cross at the moment.
Supplementary. I thought that would be the case. So, what is the current status? I highlighted this many months ago, and what is the current status of the business in the New Cross Centre?
I'm afraid this kind of falls into the commercially sensitive aspect. Colleagues in Housing and Technical Resources are fully engaged with the business, but beyond that, I'm afraid that we can't really discuss it in a public forum.
Is this necessarily a public forum? I have asked this before, and I'm not saying I'm getting stonewalled, but there's people asking me questions about the communication with the business and the council, and I was just interested to see, because this has come up many months ago, and I'm surprised to hear that we're still in the same position. Are we moving forward?
Well, in the terms of this public forum, I believe it's being live streamed on YouTube, so I would suggest it is.
It's council business I'm asking for, and I'm getting the same answer. So is there movement?
There is an ongoing dialogue between the council officers and the business.
Okay. Councillor Ross.
Yes, thanks very much, Chair. I'm back onto this 8 million again. I presumed when Colin was talking, he wasn't meaning anything that the administration would be doing to try and be inappropriate as far as 8 million is concerned. I'm just looking for a wee bit of clarity. Is this 8 million borrowed money? And if it's borrowed, can you tell me how long it's borrowed over and how much we'll be paying back for the 8 million we're borrowing?
Sorry, Councillor, I'm not able to answer that. I genuinely don't know the answer. I'm sure colleagues in finance, and we can certainly take that to them, but I apologies, we don't have that visibility on the nature of the funding. I can certainly refer that to...
According to the council leader, this was £55 million worth of investment over 3 years. And obviously our Labour colleagues probably know if that money is borrowed. I'm surely if they were part of the agreement in the first place, they'll know whether that was borrowed money, and maybe somebody then can come back and enlighten me, the chair could get that information and let me know if in fact that money is borrowed and how much it's going to cost the citizens of South Lanarkshire over the period that the money is borrowed for. Thanks very much.
Councillor Carmichael.
Thanks, Chair. Reflect back to item 6.2 on the report. It's the Quarry Street reopening. This is just more or less a comment. A lot of my constituents in Larkhall, believe it or not, still like to travel to Hamilton to do shopping in Quarry Street, etc. Right? And they welcomed the reopening. Unfortunately, of late, the tone seems to have changed in as much as, and bear in mind, committee, this is their words, not my words. We're not going back there. The blue meanies are all over it like a rash, and they're dishing out tickets left, right and centre. Right? So I just wanted to highlight that comment. Now, I don't know if that has... there any truth in it or not? Is there a particular length of time restriction or what? Maybe you can tell me that so as I can pass it back to my constituents who still want to come to Hamilton.
I think there's currently kind of half-hour restrictions just to keep the traffic moving through the town and not having someone there all day. Yeah. I think there maybe was quite a lot of traffic wardens out at the start just to monitor and all the rest of it, but I think it's eased off slightly. Not to say anybody should violate that, but I think it was just, as I say it initially, and I don't know if people realise it was half an hour such.
Okay,
I think the word's more getting out more, it's half an hour. We've got obviously have signs and things, but yeah,
thanks for that, but it seems to be it's not enough time for the people of Larkhall. Anyway, thanks.
Councillor McLachlan.
Thanks, Chair. First point, when Martin was asking the question about the tenant that's in New Cross, the tenant that's in here has got a current lease and, you know, that they're entitled to stay there. and there is negotiations taking place. I'll need to be careful I don't step over my boundary because I'm chair of the resource that deals with that. But there is a current lease for the tenant that's there, and that's the current up-to-date state of affairs. Andy, the point about Quarry Street, there was quite a, and I wouldn't normally come in, Chair, but it's just to try and reassure people. At the start, there was a lot of problems, Andy, because people couldn't see because it was just pieces of white tape and they were getting tickets. But I spoke to Colin Park, had quite a discussion with him, and people who had received PCNs for parking out with the white tape would get a refund because they weren't clearly enough marked. Now they are clearly marked. And the point about the 30-minute waiting time, it's a short time. You're not going to go and do your shopping in half an hour. But it's there for convenience. There's plenty of car parking around the town centre where people can use if they want to visit the town centre for a longer period of time. But if you want to just nip in to 1 or 2 shops and just get away again, that's the reason. And it's been really positive. A lot of businesses see the difference where they're getting a better footfall because it's given people that more immediate and short-term access to Quarry Street. Councillor Rossi's point, I feel as if I'm answering everybody's question here, but I don't. I believe that will be in the contents of the budget report, Councillor Ross, if you wanted to. That's available for anybody to check that one out. And if you're not entirely sure about that, perhaps you could speak to the Director of Finance.
Councillor Mary Donnelly.
Thank you, Chair. I've got 3 points. The one on Quarry Street, it is, as David said there, half an hour, and it has been very useful for like taxi drivers, pop them into a shop to help somebody who has got mobility difficulties and that kind of thing. And it has been. I know, I heard you, Andy. I'm just giving you feedback to take back to your constituents, that's all. And it is useful. The other point was the universities. Have we tried looking at the pop-up shops for people that are going through courses in the university to maybe test their wares, if it's hairdressers or anything else, to mind they could do a pop-up shop, and that might start to get some of the shops open again for short periods of time. We maybe couldn't take a full rent on, but they could maybe take on a pop-up. I don't know, and you maybe have looked at that. The other one is the town centre. One of the things, although it's not my area, when I do visit Hamilton, one of my eyesores is a big eyesore is the bins. And if you can actually look at when are the bins getting emptied, they're overflowing. They are making the town centre look terrible. And is the timing wrong or something? So that we can coordinate maybe after the weekend or what. But do a wee bit research when the bins are really overflowing, and if we could get on top of that a wee bit in order to tidy up the town centre, because it is really bad.
Okay.
Thanks. Just with the kind of pop-up shops and things, I think we have kind of looked at these kind of models before. We don't have a lot of units or anything that are in council ownership there, but it is something I think the BID tried to do as well through their markets. They have quite regular monthly.
Market.
Yeah, and also it's something we can talk about with potential owners of the region going forward if there are kind of voids there. The bins, it's kind of a problem in quite a lot of town centres throughout South Lanarkshire, and a lot of the problem with the commercial waste is that the retailers all use different operators, so they're putting their bins out at different times, in different places. There's not just one day they're all getting collected. I think there's a litter strategy being developed by our colleagues in community, so they're kind of looking at these kind of things, and we have been up and down. I think it's particularly bad on Cadslow Street quite often, so we are looking at a solution there. Quite often the problem is that there's nowhere to put the bins that's not on the street, there's no back closes, but it's definitely something that's kind of on the agenda to look into.
Okay.
Sorry.
Chair, thank you very much. Can I ask the officer a question? How much was invested in the previous term of the last administration? Do they know how much was invested in our town centres?
Hi, sorry, I don't have that information to hand, but we can try and... Hi there, just we don't actually have that information to hand at the moment, but we can try and pull something together.
Thanks for that. Just a couple of points I'd like to raise. As we know, Marks and Spencer's was the anchor store there and they moved out. They built a new food store, which is excellent over there. But in the last couple of years, when Marks and Spencer's have had an upturn in their clothing range, they've opened another 35 shops, right? So we no thought of approaching them to see whether they wanted to come back in there and there's extra room. The other one is in regard to the Vogue Bingo, or the Vogue Bingo it was. I understood that one of the housing associations had took it, then gave it its back. And one of the problems with it is the front facade, right? But if you get into Cambuslang, Wetherspoons built a building, the pub there, the Lord John Nelson, which is the very same front facade as they've got there. And I don't know whether it'd be approaching these companies and being positive attitude to maybe try and get some movement there. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the front facade makes it a bit more difficult difficult journey to kind of develop. However, we are having quite a lot of positive conversations with a few housing developers, and we're hoping to get that one over the line potentially.
Okay, thanks for that. No further questions? Okay, do we agree with the report? Okay, thank you. Item 7, forward programmes for future meetings.
Thank you, Chair. This report follows on from the meeting with all area committee chairs as set out in paragraph 3.1 of the report on page 37 of your pack, and will now be a standard agenda item on all area committee agendas. The purpose of the report is to advise members of the forward programme for this committee to the 27th of December 2025, as detailed in the appendix on page 39. Members are also invited to suggest topics for inclusion in the committee's forward programme. The recommendation is set out at paragraph 2.1 of the report, and committee is asked to note the forward programme up to the 27th of December 2025. Thank you.
Grant application. There are 7. I think we'll take the Mackintrust one first.
Perhaps take it last, Councillor.
Sorry?
Can we take it last, Councillor?
We'll take it last, okay. Right,
So
Lynn.
bosses want to come
Chair, before you come in and start to take these on an individual basis, I would like to move a motion. We've been here before. This is the last meeting where we're talking about granting these, and we're left with quite a bit in the pot, even if we're to grant everybody everything they ask for. So I'm moving on behalf of my group today that we give all these people that have asked for a grant this time round everything they asked for, and not what we've said on the paper.
Okay. Donnelly.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to second.
I was coming back to that.
All right.
Is it not normal protocol that the chair makes the motion that's in the recommendation that's in the papers, and if somebody wants to propose an amendment to that? But John Ross seems to have jumped the gun a little bit. No disrespect, John, but I think that's a normal protocol, Chair.
See where we are, and as I said, I'll come back to John and see if it's a seconder for that. Mary Donnelly. John.
No, it's me.
She's on. She's on.
Right.
No, Davey's probably quite right. I did jump the gun, but I didn't mean to. What you were about to take the items one by one, and that would have been a whole process only for me to turn round at the end and say that I would like to move an amendment that we give everybody the full amount they asked for. So my apologies for going about it the wrong way, but my amendment still stands that rather than, and I can understand some of the sentiments, but we're still left here at the end of the year with £15,000, which we need to either find a better way of doing this, because at the end of the year, people are not getting the funding that they're actually entitled to at the end of the day. So that's why I'm moving this today. And as I say, Mary seconded it, and I hope the amendment's successful.
Right, okay. So let's forget the Mackin Trust one now. We've got the 7 grants here, right? The recommendation for the chair here is that we accept the grants as worked out with the criteria which were set earlier on in this administration. In section 2 of the report, so I'm happy to support that recommendation. Do you have a seconder? Seconded. Do we have an amendment?
I think I've already made the amendment. And it's
Okay,
been
that's your
seconded.
amendment. Have you got a seconder?
I'll second.
Yes.
Councillor Donnelly. Okay, so we'll go to a vote for the recommendation and the amendment. We'll take the recommendation. Sorry, David?
If you've done this, maybe I've missed it, but the Mackin Trust item, there's 2 members declared an interest. Have they vacated already? They have?
We will.
But so what would they be taking that last or what?
We're taking that last. We've
Right,
left that
okay.
out.
Sorry,
the
Chair.
Mackin Trust's out. Okay. So we have the recommendation for the chair and we have the amendment for Councillor Ross. We'll take the recommendation first.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. The motion is to agree the recommended amounts in the community grants paper at 2.1 in the report, excluding the Mackin Trust, which makes it now 6 rather than 7. This is proposed by Councillor Faulkner and seconded by Councillor McLaughlin. The amendment is to pay the full amounts applied for by the applicants as detailed at 2.1 in the report, again excluding Mackin Trust. That is proposed by Councillor Ross and seconded by Councillor Donnelly.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair. Right, so we'll go to a vote. I'll just start it. Yes. Sorry, councillors, just a delay, we won't keep you.
There we are.
Is the voting opened? Thank you. Okay, I'll just stop the voting just now. Apologies, councillors, that's the vote started now.
It's not on this. No.
Yeah, it's shown on the screen.
There's nobody getting it on the screen.
Give me a wee second. Do you want to do a roll call? Do you want a roll call?
Sorry?
Do you want a roll call?
Okay, we'll just do a roll call, okay? So how will we record them?
We can ask them, bring them up on the screen and get them to say for motion or amendment.
Right, okay.
Okay. Councillors, just to say as well, it's the eligible amount, okay? Just to confirm that before you vote. Thank you. Okay. We're doing doing the six. We're only doing the six, council. We've excluded marking. Yeah, thank you. Not at all.
Okay, roll call.
Okay. We'll just stop this voting. I won't keep you a moment. Yeah. It's as if the people in the room can't vote. Apologies to keep you, councillors. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Councillor, for those of you at home or remote, I'll say your name, and if you want to join the meeting, we can then take your vote. Okay. Councillor Carmichael. Okay. Councillor Maureen Chalmers. We'll just check. Text. Can you hide the vote on there as well? Just waiting for Maureen's vote. I'll move on just now, councillors, until we get Councillor Chalmers' vote. Councillor Ross Clark. Councillor Cal Dempsey.
Amendment.
Councillor Maureen Devlin. Councillor Colin Dewar. Councillor Mary Donnelly. Councillor Alan Faulkner.
Motion.
Councillor Chalene Handybode. Motion.
Motion.
Thank you. We don't have Councillor Horn on the call. Councillor Hose has left. Councillor Gavin Wiley-Keat.
Lynn. Motion, Lynn, thank you.
Motion, thank you. Councillor Kenny McCreary. Councillor McCreary.
Motion.
Thank you. Councillor Leslie MacDonald. Councillor MacDonald.
Motion.
Thank you. Councillor Davy McLaughlin. Councillor Morazak.
Motion.
Councillor John Ross. Councillor Bert Thompson. Councillor Helen Toner. Thank you. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maureen Chalmers, sorry. Councillor, bear with us, we've got Maureen Chalmers. Councillor Chalmers vote.
How many is it without her?
She's on now. Hi, Councillor Chalmers. Is it a motion or amendment? Amendment. 10.
Said that without moving her lips.
Councillor, bear with us, we've got Maureen Chalmers. Councillor Chalmers vote.
How many is it without her?
She's on now.
Hello, thanks, Lynn.
Hi, Councillor Chalmers.
Vote
Is it a motion or
amendment.
amendment? Thank you. Noted.
You said that without moving her lips.
Councillors, thanks for your patience in this matter. The vote is now closed and I have 10 votes for the motion and 7 votes for the amendment. Therefore, the motion is carried. Thank you. Can I check you do have an amendment, councillor, and who's proposing and who's the seconder for a separate vote? Sorry, councillor, can you say that with your mic on? Thank you. It's on. No.
Yes, we're happy to go ahead and move the same for the Mackin Trust, that they receive the full amount.
And do you have a seconder for that, councillor?
Seconder.
I'll second that.
Right, another roll call.
Means the two.
Have you left the meeting? Thanks,
Councillor MacDonald can see it. Just wait for the councillors to leave.
I'll still get beat.
Councillor MacDonald and Councillor Keane.
Hi, Councillor Keane.
That's right, you didn't get it.
Councillor Keats, could you leave the meeting, please?
I'm getting seen it's time.
Councillor MacDonald.
Yeah, I'm getting moved to get everything to get until the money's
Both
done.
left. Has he left?
Aye, we'll need to look at it.
No,
differently.
is he still on? Councillor Keats is he needs to come off, aye. Can we?
Aye.
Gavin, can you leave the meeting, please?
Councillor Keat, can you leave the meeting, please? Thank you. Hi, councillors. Apologies for the delay. Just to confirm, this is the second vote. Roll call. The motion is to agree the recorded amended amount on the Mackenhill Trust within the community grants is detailed at 2.1. That is proposed by Councillor Faulkner and seconded by Councillor Devlin. The amendment is to pay the full amount applied for by the applicant. Mackenhill Trust is detailed again in the report at 2.1, and it's the eligible amount, I would say, at that point, councillors. Now, it's proposed by Councillor Ross. Can I just check who your seconder is? Councillor Donnelly again. Thanks, Councillor Donnelly. Okay. Councillor Carmichael? Councillor Chalmers? We'll just await Councillor Chalmers' vote coming in and I'll move on. Councillor Ross Clark? Amendment. Thank you. Councillor Cal Dempsey?
Amendment, and can also ask when people in the room are voting, can they please put their mic on because we can't hear. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Devlin? Motion. Councillor Dewar? Councillor Donnelly? Councillor Faulkner?
Motion.
Okay. Councillor Handybod?
Motion.
Thank you. Councillor Chalmers? Councillor Faulkner?
Motion.
Okay. Councillor Handybod?
Motion.
Thank you. Councillor Chalmers? Councillor Faulkner? Councillor McCreary?
Motion.
Thank you. Councillor Leslie MacDonald? Oh, she can't. Apologies, that's my error. My error, apologies. Councillor McLaughlin? Motion. Thank you. Councillor Razak?
Motion.
Thank you. Councillor Ross?
Amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson?
Motion.
Thank you.
Motion.
Councillor Toner? Sorry, can you put that with your mic on, Councillor? Thanks, Councillor.
Amendment.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got it. Thanks. You've got 8 this time again, 7, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, because you've got 2 less votes. Okay. Thank you, councillors, and thank you for your patience. The vote is now closed and the motion has 8 votes and the amendment has 7. I therefore pass the motion. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much to the clerks for their time today. Just before I close, there's no other business, but can I just remind you that the Hamilton District Sports Council nominations close on the 31st of March, and Helen and myself are on that committee. So if you have any sporting person in your area, if you want to contact the Sports Council, the nominations. Thanks very much for the attendance. That's a new record for the area committee.